مصلحا ومجددا فارنوا بنظر طاهر وجنان.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I make this video with great pain in my heart that Muhammad Imtiaz and Adnan Rashid are simply not learning, and they continue to raise the same allegations, and they say that such and such belief of Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is blasphemy and disbelief, meaning anyone who says this is outside the fold of Islam. If someone drinks alcohol calling it alcohol and someone drinks the same alcohol but calls it water, their sin is still the same. Adnan Rashid and Imtiaz deceive the Muslims and make it seem as if such statements of Hazrat Ahmad are blasphemy and disbelief, and they hide this from the public that their own Mujaddideen have said the very same things, meaning if they want to say the promised Messiah is a disbeliever, God forbid, they must first put the fatwa on their own ulama. In today's video, we show another reference which Muhammad Imtiaz and Adnan Rashid have called disbelief. But what they hid from the public as always is that this is our belief as well and the view of our Mujaddideen, but we do not want to share this with the Muslims, so they think this is only the view of Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salam. If you want to declare the Messiah as some kafir, you first need to declare your own Mujaddideen as kuffar, and anyone who calls them Muslims after watching this video should also be called a disbeliever. But Qiyamah can come and you will never dare open your mouth against them. Simply saying they're not infallible and they can make mistakes is not enough, because if they did blasphemy, the hukam will be on them as well, according to your own usul, and they will be taken outside the fold of Islam. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is a true prophet of Allah for us, but you reject him. But the standards you apply to him are completely unfair and are the same standards the disbelievers set for the prophets. For example, they used to say, how are these people prophets? They walk in the markets. Hazrat Ahmad has stated facts here, and you people know your Mujaddideen believe the same thing, but you declare it kufr and blasphemy and hide from the people that this is the belief of your own spiritual fathers. And if they have said this and it is blasphemy and kufr according to you, then they too become kuffar and leave the fold of Islam, as I explained. So this is the writing they are raising allegations on. It's of Jashma Marfat, where Hazrat Ahmad explains that many medical researchers before me have explained that these types of births do happen, meaning the virgin birth. Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was born without a father, and it was a miraculous birth. But this does not mean that it is outside the laws of Allah to make this happen again, or that it is impossible. So Hazrat Ahmad explains to those who raise allegations on this birth that why are you shocked? Medical researchers before me have also affirmed that this is possible. Then he explains that it is possible for the women to have quwwat-e-rujuliyat or unfiyat, that they have the faculties and the power of man and women, and through them, meaning without the agency of the male, what happens with the semen happens inside them and a child can be born. And he says this is also present in the books of the Hindus. So why are you raising allegations against Islam for affirming the virgin birth? Now this is the argument of Hazrat Ahmad al-Islam. Adnan Rashid Imtiaz say it's blasphemy, meaning anyone, whoever says these words is outside the fold of Islam. Now, we accept the virgin birth. Now, Ahmadi Muslims affirm the virgin birth. Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad in the same book Chashma Marfat explains, फिर मजमून पढ़ने वाले ने एक ये तराज पेश किया कि मरियम क्यों कर रूहुल कुदुस से हामला हो गई और क्यों कर सिर्फ मरियम से यसू पैदा हो गया. Meaning the people who raise allegations say, how is the virgin birth possible? And he refutes them and explains that it did happen and it's a fact and no one can deny it. Then he explains in his book Hamamatul Bushra that Hazrat Isa alayhi salam was born without a father. Then in his book Mawahibur Rahman, he says that Allah created Hazrat Isa alayhi salam without the agency of a male, with his qudra, with the power of Allah. It was a miracle and sign for the Yahud. Then he says in Al-Hakam that anyone who denies the virgin birth and says that this is not possible, we consider a man who holds this view to have fallen outside the pale of Islam. So to say that Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salam denied the virgin birth is a complete lie of Adnan and Imtiaz. Now back to the quote of Chashma Marfat. It is blasphemy and kufr according to Adnan Rashid and Imtiaz. So anyone who says it is a kafir and a blasphemer outside the fold of Islam. Now I dare them to put the fatwa on these ulama with their name. They will never do so. The first alim I want to present a video of Adnan Rashid before presenting his view on this. And all of them have said exactly what Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salam has said.
Within 14 months, Allah put so much barakah in his time that within 14 months he was able to do all these things. And he was a very deep, he was zahid, abid, mudabbir, who used to contemplate a lot on the Quran. His connection with the Quran was very, very powerful, very strong. In Makkah, he wouldn't move from the Kaaba. He sat next to the Kaaba, listening to the ulama, taking knowledge from them. And during that period, Allah blessed him with a lot of visions and dreams. He had so many dreams, getting messages from the unseen, getting messages from the unseen. And some of these dreams he has documented in a book, or visions he has documented in a book called Fuyudul Haramain.
So as you heard, the rank Adnan Rashid gives to Hazrat Shah Waliullah Muhaddith Ad-Delvi Rahmullah. Now this is the original cover of the book, Ta'wilul Ahadith. It's written in the Arabic language. So you can see he speaks about Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam and Hazrat Isa alayhi salam and explains the birth of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam. Alhamdulillah, this book is also now in the English language. Because this video is in the English language, we will skip to the English translation, which is a perfect translation of these passages, and we dare them to say otherwise. What does Hazrat Shah Waliullah Muhaddith Ad-Delvi Rahmullah say? He says, she was a female but possessed the qualities of the male. Exactly what Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salam said. In fact, he takes it a step further. He says when she gave birth to a female, meaning the mother of Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam, she expressed her grief to God, as none happens to be free muharrar but the males. But God accepted Maryam alayhi salam for his service in particular, as she was a blessed lady with manly qualities. A blessed lady with manly qualities. This is Adnan's Mujaddid, who is getting revelations from the unseen. He says he doesn't believe in Wahi, but what else is knowledge of the unseen? He should tell us. Clear cut, saying the same thing as Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad alayhi salam. Now his allegation also was that Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salam said many medical researches. We have countless of medical articles and you can find them online if you research. But in this video, we will show a Muslim historical scientist who is well known throughout the world. And not only this, we will show their own mujaddideen affirming this view of the scientists, and they have written these things in their tafsir. So now number one, Shah Waliullah Muhaddith Ad-Delvi Rahmullah, they have to put the hukam on him. Number two, Sanaullah Amritsari, the spiritual father of Adnan Rashid and Imtiaz. We dare them to speak against him. He writes in his book Ta'limul Islam, and I'll zoom in, he explains Hazrat Masih ki be-baap pedaish, meaning the birth of Hazrat Isa alayhi salam without a father. And what does he say? He says here, Mumkin hai Hazrat Maryam ki mein dono khasatein hoon. It is possible that Hazrat Maryam alayhi salam had both systems in her, because here he explains that for birth you need both the male and female. But he says that it's possible she had both in her. Mumkin hai कि Hazrat Maryam की में दोनों खासियतें हों. What will Adnan Rashid and Imtiaz say on this? He explains that मर्द की मनी आकिदा होती है और औरत की मुनआकिदा. There's the male sperm and female sperm. हम मुमकिन है हजरत मरियम की में दोनों खासियतें हों. We need the fatwa on Sanaullah Amritsari, and anyone who calls him a Muslim becomes a kafir according to your usul. We dare you to put the fatwa on him, but you won't. It's just hatred for Hazrat Ahmad alayhi salam. ये हुब्बे Ali नहीं, ये बुग़्ज़े मुआविया है. This is not love for Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu. It's hatred for Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. This is what you people are doing to the masses, deceiving them and not sharing your actual beliefs, doing taqiyya left, right, and not putting the fatwa on your own ulama. Next, Ashraf Ali Thanvi Sahib. Tafsir Bayanul Quran, the Mujaddid Millatin Hujjatullah fil Ard for the Deobandis. He says the exact same thing, and I'll zoom in. Tafsir Bayanul Quran, he explains here, right here as you see, मालूम होता है वल्लाहु आलम और हमल व तवल्लद बला तवस्सुत मर्द के खारक की आदत है और खवारिक में कितना ही इस्तेबादा हो मुजायका नहीं, लेकिन इसमें इस वजह से ज्यादा इस्तबाद भी नहीं कि हस्ब तसरी कुतुब तिब, मीनिंग वी हैव सीन इन द बुक्स ऑफ मेडिसिन, औरत की मनी में कुव्वत मुनआकिदा के साथ कुव्वत आकिदा भी है, meaning the women's sperm can also have the male power. And then what does he say? इसलिए मर्ज रेजा में आजा की कुछ ना तमाम सूरत भी बन जाती है. That in the disease called reja, there is a disease in which the woman can give birth without the agency of a male, and the fetus forms itself. Kama sarraha fil kanun, as seen in the book Al-Kanun of Ibn Sina rahmullah, who was a medical doctor, and he has written this in his book Kanun. And now Adnan has to put the fatwa on Ashraf Ali Thanvi Sahib and Ibn Sina. Will he do it? He is afraid. He will never do it, nor will Imtiaz. Their Mufti Shafi Usmani, Ma'ariful Quran. Here is the Urdu scan, and anyone who needs the Urdu can take a screenshot of this, and you can see the page as well as you see on the screen. This is translated into the English language. So let us read what he writes. He says, conceiving a child without copulation with the man is not totally impossible. Then look at this. However, it cannot be taken as totally impossible because according to some books of medical science, the lubricants found inside the female genitals are not merely a passive agent for conceiving a child. They also have a capacity of being active and a potential to make fetus by themselves without an external semen joining them. Ibn Sina, the famous medical scientist, has mentioned in his book Al-Kanun that in a special disease named by him as Raja, an imperfect form of even the organs of a fetus is shaped in the uterus of a woman without the intermediation of a male semen. So long as this potential is there, it cannot be taken as totally impossible because some abnormal factor may increase this potential. Put the fatwa on Mufti Shafi Usmani. Stop the hypocrisy and stop deceiving innocent Muslims. Fear Allah. These references will haunt you till Qiyamah. And I give you the benefit of the doubt that you don't read your own books, so perhaps you did not know this, but do some research before calling something kufr and blasphemy. Then your own scholar, and he is mentioned in Ihtisab-e Qadianiyat by Maulana Hakim Muhammad Yasub Mongeri Sahib, who is one of the famous scholars of the Muslims for opposing Islam Ahmadiyya. This is Ihtisab-e Qadianiyat, 60 volumes where Imtiaz plagiarizes his allegations from. So he must have read this as well, right? He's plagiarizing from here. He gets everything from these 60 volumes. Why did he miss this? In this book, he quotes again Bu Ali Sina. Not only him, he quotes Hakim Azani, and he explains that in Shar Mufari al-Qulub, he mentions this as well. So this is Shar Mufari al-Qulub. Anyone who needs can take the scan. As you see, he says that it is possible Waqi ast lakinnahu qalil wa nadir. That this is possible, that a woman gives birth without a male agency, but it happens really rarely, and it's really rare for it to happen in society, but it can happen. Now, here we turn to Ihtisab-e Qadianiyat, Mirzayat ke mutalik. It's a book regarding us. 7 questions and the answers. Hakim Muhammad Yasub Mongeri, okay? Imtiaz scholar, Ihtisab-e Qadianiyat, volume 30. What does he say? He explains here, as you see, साइंस के कीमती इंकशाफात से साबित किया जाएगा कि औरत को बगैर मर्द के ताल्लुक के लड़का पैदा हो सकता है. A female can give birth without the agency of a male. ये कानून फितरत के मुखालिफ नहीं. This is not against the fitrah of man. Then he quotes Hakim Azani, and then he also quotes Bu Ali Sina ने अपनी किताब कानून में जो एक अरसे तक यूरोप के शाही मेडिकल कॉलेज में फजीलत की डिग्री के लिए दाखिल दर्स रहा. Meaning this was such a famous book, you needed it in the colleges even in Europe. And what does he say in this? He says, पूरी बहस की है, मैं उसका मुख्तसर खुलासा लिखता हूँ. That there's a huge discussion. I'll do the small summary of it. कि औरतों की मनी में 2 कुव्वतें मौजूद हैं. That the sperm of women has 2 powers, आकिदा और मुनअकिदा. These are the 2. मुनअकिदा के गलबे की वजह से औरत बिला शिरकत मर्द हामला नहीं हो सकती. That without मुनअकिदा, the woman cannot get pregnant. अगर बा मुतजाज अनासिर आकिदा का गलबा हो गया, if आकिदा gets superiority, जो मुमकिन है, तो बिला कुर्बत मर्द सिर्फ औरत की मनी वाहिद से बच्चे का पैदा होना मुमकिन ठहरेगा. That the woman, even without the male agency, she can give birth. Then he explains that इंसानों के अलावा जानवरों में बिला जोड़े के तवल्लुद नस्ल बकसरत मुशाहिदा में आ रही है. Then in animal kingdom we see this as well. Then he says even with here and even in the birth of snakes we can see this as well. So this is clear from their own ulama that they have written the very same thing. Then Abdul Majid Daryabadi, their other famous scholar, in his book Tafsir Quran, Tafsir Majdi Mukammil, as you see, he says the same thing. Hamal wa tawallud bala tawassut mard ke kharij ki aadat hai, that a woman giving birth without the male is outside, it's a miracle, it's out of the ordinary. और खवारिक में कितना ही इस्तेबादा हो, मुजायका नहीं, that no matter how rare it is, it doesn't mean it's impossible. लेकिन इसमें इस वजह से ज्यादा इस्तेबादा भी नहीं कि हस्ब तस्रीह कुतुब तिब, इन मेडिकल बुक्स औरत की मनी में कुव्वत मुनआकिदा के साथ कुव्वत आकिदा भी है. that the women's sperm have both powers. इसीलिए मर्ज रजा में कुछ ना तमाम सूरत भी बन जाती है. And the disease raja, you see this happen. This is Abdul Majid Daryabadi, so put the fatwa on him as well. Here is the $1,000 challenge, and I dare them to accept this challenge. I will transfer the money right away. They have to make a separate video on their channel saying, I, Muhammad Imtiaz and Adnan Rashid, openly declare that Shah Waliullah Muhaddith Delvi, Maulvi Sanaullah Amritsari, Ashraf Ali Thanvi, Mufti Shafi Usmani, Abdul Majid Daryabadi, writers of Ihtisab-e Qadianiyat, and the publishers are all disbelievers and outside the fold of Islam for writing what Mirza Ghulam Ahmad has written regarding Maryam alayhi salam, which we have declared blasphemy. Anyone who considers dumb Muslims after this evidence is also outside the fold of Islam. No GoFundMe pages needed. Send your e-transfer. I will send you the money today, but openly make this video and stop the hypocrisy because we are tired of it.